You know, automobiles are as much an institution in this country as is baseball, hot dogs, and apple pie. And the collecting of classic automobiles has become something of an art form, at least for some. Well, we stopped by an art show of cars, if you will, and found there's also a lot of passion involved.
Come away with me, Lucille, in my merry Oldsmobile.
The love affair between man and machine, and more specifically cars and trucks, has been going on for well over 100 years, dating all the way back to when the first motorized vehicles hit the road, and that includes some early steam-powered wagons used as far back as the mid-1700s and early electric cars produced in the late 1800s. But as internal combustion engines became easier to build and maintain, that love affair became a marriage of beauty and power that has spanned the decades. When you owned a motor car, you got respect, and the pride you felt in owning it came from the envious reactions of those who were still driving a horse and buggy. As time went by, automobiles took on a kind of life of their own, with designs eventually being made to satisfy everyone's tastes, lifestyle, and budget. Who doesn't remember their first or favorite car, and the pride they felt pulling into the driveway for the first time, or the glances you got as you drove past friends and relatives? But for some, as we found out, that passion for automobiles goes beyond normal admiration, as we saw at a car show in Bloomsburg recently. That show at the Bloomsburg Fairgrounds brought in hundreds of classic and custom cars that were put on display for all to enjoy and salivate over. The event included a massive drive-in where classic and modified vehicles were driven or cruised through downtown Bloomsburg and parked for a time so that even more people could peruse and enjoy them. And that's where we caught up with a number of car enthusiasts who were anxious to talk about their vehicles and the work it took to create or restore them.
Well, it's quite old now, 1958. In 1958, they only had the hoods with the little ripples in them. And, of course, in the back, they have the metal strips down over the trunk. That's the only year they had that. It's a good driver, small engine, 3-speed. And it works very well. I've done a little work on it, not myself, but had the upholstery and some of the headliners worked out. So it's a good operating car, and I enjoy it.
Well, I've always been interested in cars. I'm a motorhead. I've been a motorhead all my life. I was involved with modified stock car racing with a well-known driver from the Reading area by the name of Kenny Brightville. But he burned me out doing all the races and all the work and everything else. So we found this car here, which was owned by a fellow that only had it for like 3 months. He drove it around the block several times. He had it parked in his garage. Lightning struck the garage and burned the garage down, and this car was in there and it was totally demolished. In other words, it didn't look like it could be restored, but we managed to do it, and this is the end product of what we have now.
Now, how long did it take you to actually do all that?
It took 5 years overall to build the car.
It's a 1950 Ford convertible. It's a frame off, which means the body was taken off the frame. The front clip of the chassis was cut, and a Fat Man front was put on with a Mustang 2. It's got a 350 Chevy tune port with a 700R 4-speed automatic transmission. It's got disc brakes, power steering, air conditioning, power seats, power top.
It's a 1977 Ford LTD2. It's a limited production. There are not a whole lot of them made. We don't see many on the roads anymore, but I did something stupid by putting this big motor, but it draws attention. It got a 429 with a BDS 871 supercharger, and I'm probably about 700 horse right now, give or take a little there, but just something to fool around with. I get about 5 miles a gallon on a good day. Well, to stay out of the throttle, but just something I enjoy doing.
I spent 5 years rebuilding it, took every nut and bolt off of it, polished everything, repainted everything. It's given me many years of joy and hardship.
Hardship, why?
Lots of aggravation, lots of money, lots of broken parts, lots of bloody knuckles, all that good car stuff.
1959 original, 230 horsepower, 4-speed gearbox, and It's just all original.
Now say original, it means you've restored everything to the original,
Yeah.
or is this the actual original car as it came out of the showroom?
It's pretty. It's all restored. It came from Florida years ago, and I restored it.
What enjoyment do you get out of this? What particularly gets you worked up about something?
Oh,
like
I just like to drive them, and the sound is tremendous. With it being a convertible, it backfires a little bit, and cruise right along, and that's the best part of having a Corvette of this nature.
Well, it's the love of the sport. It's the end product, what you see when you get it done, and that's just the gratification of doing it. Just seeing the end product and watching people come up and admire the car, look at it, and they have no idea what it is. And then they'll approach you and ask you what it is. Now this car, like I say, was in a fire, and it looked like it was totally scrapped, but we brought it back to life.
Actually, I had one of these, my first car, when I was 17. I bought it at a police auction in Manhattan for $26, and on that one I did all the work myself. And I was at a show, and a reporter similar to you came and asked me questions, and they put the car in New York Times, and they made a story on the car, basically the same thing like you're doing.
So basically, by doing that, you got hooked.
I was hooked before that. Yeah. I used to buy the what they call the little books, Rod and Custom and things like that. And I was always interested in modifying the bodies of the car. And then as I got older, I got into drag racing, and then I got, back into doing things like this. The cars today, they're like cookie cutters of each other, and the older cars, they had like a sort of class to them, and like I could take a test and you can show me little pieces of cars from the 50s, and I can tell you what they are. But today's cars, forget it. They all look the same to me. Most of them look like rental cars, I mean, if you look at the dashboard in this here, it's all customized, and they were just nicer then, and you get the recognition from people. You meet a lot of nice people at these meets, and you build relationships, and that's what it's about,
Right.
It's like a slower pace, You have a problem on the road, these guys all stop to help you, It's never just walking away and leaving you there. And it's just a nice camaraderie.
What do you get out of this?
High bills. I don't know how to answer that. I just get I love attention, and this is a good attention drawer, especially when I'm driving down the street. My supercharger whines, and you just see people down half a block down the street stepping out to see what's coming. I kind of like seeing that. Otherwise, I just enjoy coming and meeting people. I love the people and questions, and just making people happy somehow here.
The satisfaction of knowing I did it myself, and people coming out and commenting on how much they like it and how they used to have them, and basic enjoyment like that.
Now, why'd you pick this car and not something else?
I found it for $300. It was affordable. It's a 10-year range. You can find parts for it anywhere, and it's pretty easy to put together, so it was affordable.
Oh, just the satisfaction. And it's nice to cruise it around. All the people like it. And I belong to Corvette Club, Susquehanna Valley Corvette Club. And I take it to shows. I had it to Hazelton this year.
Was this the kind of car you've always wanted to have?
My first one was a 1954. I've had 9 of them since. I have 3 now, so I have a 1965 convertible I'm working on now. And, I hope to get it done pretty soon.
As you can see, some people's love of their cars goes way beyond the norm, but possibly nowhere near as far as these guys, who not only modify the look of their vehicles, but also add a few interesting touches, such as flamethrowers.
What you just saw was an exhibition of shooting fire. It's pressurized with nitrogen. On a good day, we can get up to 85 feet. Tonight with the rain, atmospheric pressure, we're down a little bit. We got a good system. We shoot all over the eastern seaboard, all the way up into New York, New Jersey, all over. Whole seaboard clear down to South Carolina.
Well, what I found was interesting was that the heat from where I was standing, you'd really feel it inside the building. In fact, what's the heat like inside the car?
Hot. We have the windows rolled up. We can feel some of it, but we can't have the windows down or it just literally melts you. Because you're talking almost 2,800 degrees. That's a lot.
What kind of special equipment do you need to do that?
$5 million worth of insurance. No, we have a special policy. We work with one of the bigger companies. We are the only ones I know of that do this type of thing, that do have insurance. We've been shooting for 7-8 years now, never had a mishap. Record's clean. We do a good show.
And now the equipment, the fuel you're using for this, what are you using?
We use kerosene and Coleman fuel is what we're shooting. We pressurize with nitrogen.
And what does that do? What's that mixture do for you?
It just, the Coleman fuel mixed with kerosene cleans it up a little bit. It doesn't get a big black ball of smoke up in the air. It just makes it ignite a little bit easier.
Nice. And of course the flames come out of the rear. You've got a shield back there. What's that shield?
Well, that's a stainless steel shield to keep our tail lights in place. If we didn't have that, it's a little fire that we create, and we shoot the big fire up through it. And the little fire boils around, goes back on the car, it can melt the whole back of your car out. So we put stainless steel. If it wouldn't have been raining, we usually run a fire blanket over the trunk. But in the rain, we can't. Fire blanket gets wet and just steam. It'll just boil the paint right underneath it.
So what makes a guy want to do this?
Something to do. People liked it. We like to hear the crowds cheer. Plus, we never grew up.
It really is all good, clean, family fun, and well worth your time to stop by this or any car show in the area. For information on Flames R Us, their website is listed on your screen. And for information on the next Rod and Custom Drive-In in Bloomsburg or any event in the Columbia-Montour County area, log on to the Visitors Bureau website. That'll do it for this episode of Metrocasting. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again after later.